Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becky and I like to read. Oh my god, I sound so bad. So, my sister came down with strep throat on our very last day in Scotland and she passed some of the crud to me. I don't think it's strep throat, I think I just have a sore throat, but I'm gonna try and get through this video without coughing too much. I got some water in case I need it. But this is going to be my Edinburgh bookshop vlog. If I were a good vlogger, I would have done an intro and things like that while I was actually in Scotland. However, I get so caught up in what I'm doing and seeing that I forget to film things, which you will see in this video. I was able to visit 8 bookstores while I was in Edinburgh in 5 days. I actually got 8 in 3 days, but we were there for 5 days. So I'm going to insert some footage for you guys from each one and then show you the book that I got from each store. I did try to limit myself to only one book because I was very mindful of the fact that I didn't have a lot of space to be bringing books back with me. So I stuck with one book for the most part. There is one exception, and a tote bag from each one, because I am starting to collect tote bags from all of the like indie or unique bookstores that I go to. We bought a shit ton of snacks because we figured on the plane ride there that they would just give us a bag of pretzels, and they ended up giving us a whole ass breakfast plus 2 snacks. So we didn't end up eating a whole lot of snacks that we bought, but you'll see that in this clip. As you saw, the very first bookstore that I went to was Topping & Company. We actually arrived a day earlier than expected. Our flight got changed, so we had to stay in the Holiday Inn, which was literally right down the block from Topping & Company. So it was the very first bookstore that we went to. And I really liked this bookstore. I think it's 2 floors. It could be more, but I only went on 2 floors. And if it looked like I was going really fast through the bookstore, it's because I had already gone through the bookstore and looked at things and checked out. And then I realized that I didn't film anything, so I was going back through really quickly looking for my sister. So that's why it looks like I didn't really look too much at things, because I'd already done it. But I picked up a Topping & Company tote bag, and let's see what book is inside, because quite honestly I've forgotten what books I bought. The book that I bought is The Lamplighters. I believe this has something to do with lighthouse keepers who disappear or travel through time or something like that. I am very attracted to lighthouses on books, so hopefully I enjoy this one.
Deep within, here we go, but somehow I'm caught before we've even begun. Should I work against the flow, a drop in the ocean so endless, reaching for our moments miles above? I just need one, diving in to all this endless space, falling stars, but still I see you. Sweet escape, a lovely start, but letting go's the hardest part. Swimming in this deep, deep blue. Hold my breath, looking up. Life moves in waves, it keeps changing. Catch a glimpse of what was you and me. It's gone again. Sinking in, back on the shore. One foot in front of the other. Close my eyes and feel you hold my hand just like you used to back then. These hopes dance high like sparks before they go out. But in that second, you're still mine. Diving in to all this endless space, falling stars, but still I see you. A sweet escape, a lovely start, but letting go's the hardest part. Swimming in this deep,
The
deep.
second bookstore that I visited was Waterstones, and I was really excited to visit Waterstones because I had heard that it is the Barnes & Noble for the UK, which is true. It is very much Barnes & Noble vibes. I was really excited to go there because I was hoping they had like a section of like Waterstones exclusive editions, which are the fancy books with like the sprayed and stenciled edges. And to be honest, I was kind of disappointed because they only had they had a few books that had sprayed edges, but I only found 2 books that had stencil edges, and they were sequels to books that I have no desire to read or had never read. The first time I went, I looked really quickly around things, so I didn't notice if they had a romance section, and so I went back a second time because my friend Jessica had asked me to look for a specific book for her. And while I was there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna look really thoroughly to see if there's a romance section, and I couldn't find one. And when I asked, they were like, no, we really don't have a romance section. We have a table with some summer reads on it that had pretty much like Emily Henry, The Love Hypothesis, and Colleen Hoover, and anything else was classified as just general fiction. And I was a bit disappointed with that because I was hoping that they would have like a really good romance section, whereas in the USA at Barnes & Noble, they are starting to like really hype up their romance section and even include like indie romances. So that was a bit of a disappointment. But overall, if you don't read romance, I would say Waterstones is a really great store. I did pick up a Waterstones tote. I really like this logo. And let's see what book I got, because once again, I've forgotten what I picked. I got Splendid City, which I had never heard of this book, but it had a cat with a gun on the cover, and it just sounded really funny. In the state of the library, water is rationed, free speech comes at a price, and paranoia runs deep. And it has something to do with a rebellious witch, so that just sounds like something I would really enjoy. So just your standard book, nothing wow about it. Third and fourth bookstore we went to was Typewriter and McNaughton's Bookshop, which is both in the same location. They are connected. McNaughton sells more antique books and older books, and Typewriter sells more newer books. They have some signed editions and just like those fancy typewriters and things like that. It's a really cute bookstore, and I really wasn't expecting to like this bookstore because I am not an antique book kind of person. I prefer newer books, but When I went in, it was just so freaking cute. The guy at the counter was so helpful. There were these young men there that were wanting to like learn how to use a typewriter, and he sat down and he showed him how to use it, and I really liked this bookstore. It's small, but it is so cute. And then when you go into McNaughton's, they have the older books, the antique books, the like collector books, like bound in leather, things like that. And I really liked it too, even though I'm not an antique bookstore person. It was very organized. It had like nooks and ladders, and I really liked it. So unfortunately, I didn't get a McNaughton's tote bag. I didn't see any there, but I did get a Type Wronger tote bag. And this is the one exception to the one book rule. I ended up getting 3 books here because I really liked them, and they were all really thin books. So the first book I got was Meet Me in Another Life. This is a romance. I believe it is a reincarnation romance. I was drawn to the cover. Is it signed? It is. It's a signed edition, which really doesn't mean much to me. I don't really care about signed editions all that much, but I thought it was an interesting little edition. And then when I checked out, he's like, would you like a Type Wronger stamp in your books? And I was like, sure, why not? So I got that as well. Again, there wasn't like a designated romance section, but I was happy to find a romance book in Type Wronger. The other book I got at Type Wronger was Hex by Jenny Fagan. It's a really short book. I was drawn to this cover. It has a crow on it. Go figure. I don't really know a whole lot about it. It's set in Edinburgh though, and so that's what drew me to it, because I wanted to pick up a book that was actually set in Scotland while I was in Scotland. So once again, he included a bookmark and a stamp. So I'm really looking forward to giving this one a try. And then the book that I got at McNaughton's, because I did buy an antique book, or an older book I should say. It is a children's book, so I don't know if that really counts, but I just liked the title of this. It is called The Bad Child's Books of Beasts, and it just has a different like creatures and animals in it for children, and I just thought it was super cute. Like the polar bear and the whale. The next bookstore we went to was Portobello Bookshop. It is a little outside of like the center city of Edinburgh, but we were staying in a guest house in the Portobello Beach area, and it was a 20-25 minute walk to Portobello Beach. And of course I scanned the area on Google to see if there were any bookstores there, and there were. It was the Portobello Beach bookstore, so I went in there. I really liked this bookstore. It was so cute and quaint and clean and bright, and it had cute little seating areas and a great children's section, and I thought it had a good selection of books. Once again, no real designated romance section, but I did pick up a tote bag. It's kind of a plain tote bag. I wish they would have jazzed up their logo a little bit, but you know, can't be picky when those are the only options you have. But the book that I got is The Whalebone Theatre, and I had never heard of this book, but it caught my eye because it had blue sprayed edges, which really intrigued me. And then I read the synopsis and I was like, ooh, that sounds cool. It is about a girl who discovers this whale skeleton, and I believe she starts putting on plays within it, or she uses her imagination or something like that, and it just sounded so cool. And I was so happy to find blue sprayed edges at a bookstore. Blackwell's. Let me tell you the story of why I don't have a lot of footage from Blackwell's. I had thought I started recording when I walked in the door, and then my phone buzzed, and apparently I stopped recording, so I don't have a lot of footage from Blackwell's. But this was probably one of my favorites, aside from Typewronger and McNaughton's. I loved this, probably more so than Waterstones. Again, it has very much the Barnes & Noble feel to it. It has a cafe in it, which I really liked. I also forgot to say that Waterstones had a cafe, but Blackwell's has a cafe too. I think it's Cafe Nero, which is sort of like their Starbucks over there. I did not go in the cafe, but they do have one there. But they had a lot of different sections of books. I felt like they had a good variety. Again, I did not spot a designated romance section within Blackwell's. Come on, UK, why don't you have designated romance sections in your bookstores? You saw me sitting on the floor going through books. They have a whole room dedicated to Scottish books, and I was trying to find a book written by a Scottish author that I wanted to buy. Unfortunately, I didn't spot any that really sparked my interest, and this was the one bookstore that I was disappointed they didn't have a tote bag with their logo on it. So all I have is their plastic bag with their Blackwell's logo. It's going to have to do because they didn't have one. And the book that I got there is this beautiful edition of The Blue Salt Road. I've never heard of this book, but I love this naked cover. I love when books are just printed right on the hardback. I think that is so cool. Again, with the whale. So it drew my attention because you usually see the books about the girls who are drawn into different worlds, but this one is from a boy's perspective, and so I'm really excited to check it out. I love this. And look at these end papers. Beautiful. Far from Blackwell's, I visited Lighthouse Books. I really liked this bookstore too. It wasn't a favorite of mine, but I felt like they had a good selection of books to choose from. They have a whole room of like middle grade and children's books as well. And I will say, this is the only bookstore that I went into where they had a designated romance section. Granted, it was only 2 shelves, but at least they had a section that was designated for romance. Again, it was mostly like Emily Henry and The Love Hypothesis, and it had some other of those illustrated cartoon romances on it. But I was just happy to see a section that was romance. I picked up their tote bag, which I really like their logo. I think it's super cute. And the book I got, I believe, is a middle grade. And it is Julia and the Shark. This is about a young girl who spends her summer living in a lighthouse and her adventures. So I thought that was very fitting. Lighthouse Books, a book about a girl who lives at a lighthouse. Plus, I just really like this cover. And it's got some cute illustrations in it as well. So hopefully I enjoy that one. And the last and final bookstore I visited was Armchair Books. So this is a bookstore that's not really my vibe. I am not somebody who really likes like used bookstores all that much. I do like used bookstores, but I just prefer new bookstores. That's just my preference. I will say that I liked that this one didn't have like boxes of books and books stacked on the floor, and you could easily navigate it. It was kind of crowded, but I mean the walkways were clear and clean and the books were all shelved and all that. So I didn't see a lot of books that I wanted there. Most of them were just like your general fiction books. Again, no designated romance section. Most of it was like encyclopedias, dictionaries, older books like that just don't appeal to me, but they did have a decent like middle grade section, and I found one new-ish book. I think it came out with like in the last 2 years, and that is Ikenja, I think I said that right, by Nnedi Okorafor. I think I've read one other book by Nnedi Okorafor, but I saw this one a couple years ago on like Bookish First, and I wanted to get it to review. Unfortunately, I didn't win it, and I saw it there, so I figured I would pick it up. I will say that Armchair Books has the cutest logo of the bookstores that I went to. It has this cute logo of a dragon sitting in an armchair reading books, and that is just what sold it for me. So best logo, but not really my favorite bookstore, but I did pick up a book there anyway. So that was my Edinburgh bookstore adventure vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments if you've been to any of these bookstores in Edinburgh and which one is your favorite, or if you've never been to Edinburgh, which one of these bookstores appealed to you most and would you like to check out if you ever go to Edinburgh. I so enjoyed my time in Edinburgh. It truly was a dream vacation for me. The weather was amazing. I had packed and expected for like 60-degree weather with rain. It was sunshiny most of the time we were there. It got up to the 80s. We went on hikes. We were wearing shorts. We laid on the beach. It was so freaking nice. So this vacation was just everything to me, and I am so glad that I went, and I am so glad that my sister came with me, because it just made it that much more enjoyable. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until my next video, read something great for me.